I am so cozy right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be talking through my birth story. I didn't vlog the birth. I wasn't set on not doing it, I didn't want to put the pressure on myself of like having to film it, but I always knew that I would do like a birth story and like talk you through how it went down. So I've made a list, like notes on my phone, because obviously there's quite a lot to it. So I did take some time to just sit down and think back through it all. And also I looked through my notes as well, because when you leave they give you like notes of everything that happened throughout your labour. Yeah, I actually took the time to sit through and read all the information. So yeah, I've got a fair bit here that I can share with you. So my due date was the 14th of May, and yeah, there was not really many signs. Like I was getting like a little bit of cramping, but nothing like major. I was very tired, that's what I remember. I would have like, I'd wake up and then do something, and then literally that would like knock me out for the rest of the day. So yeah, 14th of May was my due date. Obviously nothing happened. So 15th of May came around, and that day again I was absolutely exhausted. I think I had a midwife appointment which I went to, and then I popped out afterwards, and when I got home I slept literally the whole afternoon. I was exhausted. And then obviously that night came around, and it got to about 11 PM and I was laying in bed and I started to feel more crampier, and it was more consistent, and I didn't really think anything of it, to be honest. I just thought, oh, you know, they're getting a bit more frequent. And then I was a little bit hungry actually, so I went downstairs for a snack. So it was about, I think, midnight at this point, so I went downstairs for a snack, and I was just sitting in the living room in silence, eating some snacks and having a drink. And again, like the pains were kind of coming. Anyway, went back upstairs, got back in bed, and yeah, again, more pain. But like not like excruciating, just kind of like a really kind of bad period sort of pain. I felt the need to go to the toilet, like as in just a wee. So I got up, walked to the bathroom. I got to the bathroom door, turned the light on, and I felt like a trickle down my leg. And I thought, surely not. Like, I've not wet myself. Like, you know, I've gone through this whole pregnancy with having quite good, you know, like pelvic floors. I haven't like had that bad of a, like I haven't wet myself or anything like that. So I just thought, no, surely not. And then obviously like looked, sat straight on the toilet, and it wasn't like a gush. Like I think people think when their waters break it's going to be like a big gush. It wasn't that. It was very slow for me. So yeah, obviously trickled down my leg, sat on the toilet straight away, and yeah, obviously it came out, I guess. I thought it was partly wee too. And my whole body started to kind of like tremble. Obviously the pain was still there, and then I looked straight away at obviously what had come out, and it was like a brownie colour. I did take a photo because I thought I want to show the hospital if I have to go in, I want to show them what it looked like. Obviously I'm not going to put that on here, but yeah, it was like a brownie colour. And straight away I knew that that was like a problem, because obviously that means like the baby's pooed inside you and stuff. So yeah, obviously that kind of scared me a little, not scared me, but I just thought, okay, like, you know, this is not particularly good. So what I did was I went into Harry and I said, he was obviously fast asleep, I was like, Harry, I think my water broke. And he was like, right, okay. I said, but just hang on a sec, I'm gonna call the hospital and explain to them what's happened and see what they say. So that's what I did. and they said, yeah, come down and we'll have a look. So obviously at this point we didn't know if we were like going for good or if, you know, we were going to be sent home. So anyway, I went back upstairs. Harry, I was like, let's go. So he's jumped up. Obviously we've quickly, luckily all the bags were already in the boot, so everything was already packed in the car. It was just a matter of like chucking some clothes on and going. And at this point it was about 1:45 in the morning. We've headed to the hospital. We got to the hospital, we kept waiting for a little while. I think they were waiting for a room to obviously check me. I needed to do a urine sample, and they wanted to check my pad to see, obviously check it out and see if it was meconium. So I did all that, and then they checked my blood pressure, they strapped me up, checked baby's heartbeat and everything, and movement. I had to like press this button every time she moved, and she was pretty active at this point. So yeah, they then confirmed that it was meconium. So they basically said, you will not be going home and you'll be having your baby here. So she was like, obviously I didn't really have a birth plan, but I wanted to have a water birth if possible. And they asked me, they said like, you know, did you have a birth plan? And I was like, no, not really. I just kind of wanted to have the birthing pool. But they were like, unfortunately, because obviously of the meconium, that is kind of out of the question now. That was fine, you know, I wasn't really disappointed as such, because I just thought it is what it is. Like, that's why I didn't have a birth plan, because of that reason. You know, you can't predict what's going to happen. Anyway, she was like, right, we're going to move you straight to the delivery room, and yeah, we'll go from there. So we got moved next door to the delivery room. And at this point my waters were breaking pretty heavily, so it was like obviously uncontrollable, like you can't control it. They said that they needed to put me on a hormone drip to get things moving quicker, and things are going to get quite intense pretty quickly. So I was like, okay. So anyway, before she like wired me up and everything, went to the toilet, and obviously that was when like it was just uncontrollable, like my waters were breaking continuously, and it got messy, and that's when it started to get like really unglamorous. And I know obviously birth is just not glamorous at all. And then eventually she checked how far dilated I was, and I was only 1 centimetre at this point. So this is probably about, I'd say 3 in the morning now, 2:30, 3 in the morning. Obviously my mum ended up coming. I managed to reach my dad, and he drove her down, because but when we first got there, I could only have one birthing partner, and then obviously as soon as I get moved to the delivery room, then you can have your second one. So my dad was like, obviously mum's gonna want to be there, like she's not gonna want to miss anything. So he drove her down pretty much straight away, and then he went back and went to bed. So yeah, she got there, and then obviously Harry and mum were there. So the pain started to get quite intense, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, you know, everyone says, oh, if they offer you an epidural, take it. And I never kind of was like, no, I'm not having an epidural. Like, I was very open-minded. But I was laying there and I was thinking, you know, I watch so many birth vlogs and birth stories, and I hear quite a lot that, you know, people ask for epidurals and they take so long to like come, and then by the end they, you know, they get so far that they end up having their baby without the epidural coming. Or I just hear so much about it's such a long process to get an epidural. So I said to the midwife, I was like, if I wanted an epidural, how long would it take to kind of arrange and, you know, have and like get into my body and stuff like that. So she said how long it would take. So I was like, I think I'm gonna have it. So very early on I agreed to the epidural. I'm glad I did, but yeah, I just kind of thought, I don't know what came over me. Actually no, do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking, because I'm strapped up, and when I mean strapped up, like they had the belts, you know, like the heartbeat on me, like because I was monitoring her as well, I couldn't get up. Like I was pretty much tied to the bed. Like I could stand up, but it's not what I had in mind. Like, I wanted to use all the space in the room to, you know, move around and get in different positions and just have that freedom of moving around, whereas I didn't have that because I was literally strapped up to this hormone drip. So I thought, if I'm basically going to be in this bed, I might as well have a bloody epidural. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't have the birthing pool, can't really move around and use the room space. So, you know, I might as well have an epidural and then not feel the pain. I think that's what I kind of thought. So anyway, I said to her, I was like, look, yeah, I'm gonna have it. So she was like, right, okay, we'll get it organised. So it didn't take long at all, actually. They came pretty quickly, and obviously it takes a little while to prep, like 10 minutes for them to actually get it all sorted, and you got to get in the right position, which was quite uncomfortable. It wasn't painful, but you have to like really lean yourself forward, and obviously when you've got a big bump, it's quite uncomfortable, and obviously you've got to really like crunch yourself up. So I did feel a little bit sick, like when they put it in. I think because I was like leaning over so much, and obviously my head was down, I did kind of go a little bit queasy and a little bit sicky, but I didn't make a fuss of it. I didn't say anything. I just, in my head, I was thinking, oh, I don't feel right. But it wasn't painful or anything. Yeah, had the epidural. Obviously that takes about 20 minutes, I think, to kick in. So yeah, by that point I was bedbound. They had to obviously put a catheter in because I wouldn't be able to get up to go to the toilet. They also confirmed that I couldn't eat anything, which I didn't realise. And that's not because of the epidural, that's because in case of a C-section, I wasn't able to eat anything. So bearing in mind, I hadn't eaten anything since that evening. I think we had spaghetti bolognese or something. So that was the last meal I had, and I couldn't eat anything, and obviously until baby was born, which we didn't know how long that would be. They said I could only drink clear fluids, and I was like, oh my god, so is that just water? But I was able to drink my Lucozade Sports, which were nice, because obviously that gave me a bit of like taste in my mouth and a bit of energy as well. So I was able to drink that, but yeah, no food. So that was pretty hard because I was very hungry. Well, I ended up getting very hungry, and obviously I was tired. It started to get a bit tough, but I wasn't in pain. Like, obviously I couldn't feel my contractions, I could just feel the tightenings. They could only check how far dilated I was every 4 hours. That obviously made things quite long, I guess, because it was like, right, if you've been checked, then you know you're not going to get checked for another 4 hours. So yeah, basically they checked me again, and 4 hours after they checked me the first time, and I was only 1 centimetre, so I hadn't progressed. But she was like, don't worry, that's fine, like, you know, that doesn't always mean anything. You're having regular contractions, so yeah, things can literally, like, you can dilate so quickly. Things were moving pretty slow, but they seemed to be reassuring me that I was like heading in the right direction. So I was just kind of like, okay. Yeah, I was just struggling because I was very, very tired, and I couldn't really get comfortable on the bed, and I couldn't shut off. We had to have a midwife in with us the whole time. They were monitoring me and the baby the whole time, so they were sat in the corner. They were absolutely lovely. Like, every midwife I had, because obviously I had the first midwife, because obviously that was during the night. She left at 7 AM, and then we had a new midwife at 7 AM, and she left, we had her right through till 7 PM. She was lovely. And then we had another load of midwives from 7 PM then onwards, and that just kind of, I've just given away how long I was actually in labour for, but yeah, so we had 3 different midwives, and they were all really lovely. So yeah, I kept trying to sleep, I couldn't shut off, I was just absolutely exhausted. And then as the day went on, so it got to about 4, 5 o'clock, maybe 3, 4 actually, and I think I started to bleed a little bit, because I remember them saying, like, talking about like blood in my pad and stuff like that, and they were having different doctors coming in and checking on me and stuff like that. And then yeah, so it got to about 4 o'clock, and they started to talk to me about options of really kind of speeding things up. So one of the options were C-section and forceps. So they said that the baby's head was currently like turned a different way, so if the baby had stayed like that, then we would have had to go into theatre to have the forceps. Not quite sure why. I guess it meant that if they needed to do more, they were already in theatre, or we could have the forceps in the delivery room if her head turned, basically. So I was like, right, okay, you know, fair enough. Obviously I didn't particularly want a C-section. Obviously if it came to it, then whatever, but I really hoped that we could end up having the forceps in the delivery room, and yeah, it would happen like that. So yeah, that was about 4 or 5 o'clock. I thought they were going to check me again because like they were quite concerned, but they didn't. I think that kind of got me down a little bit because I was just like, I thought things were kind of like picking up, but they weren't. I got quite upset. I think around about 6ish. I really don't know times because at this point I was so out of it. I was just so overtired, and I think I remember one of the midwives saying to me like, how are you feeling? And I just burst into tears. Like I just couldn't stop crying, and I think it was just because I was, yeah, just so tired. Like not in pain, like 'cause I couldn't feel the pain, but I was just exhausted. That is all I felt at that point. And I was just like, I think gutted, because I just wanted things to happen and I felt like nothing was happening. From then on, it felt like a bit of a blur, to be honest. I can't really remember what happened after like me crying. I obviously calmed down a little bit, and then all of a sudden I remember them checking me. Must have been time for them to check me, and I was 8 centimeters. So obviously I had progressed a fair bit, and then all of a sudden I just felt like things were starting to happen. I kind of like, when I think back to it, I forget, like I can't think of what happened between me crying and then all of a sudden me ready to like push. So yeah, I'm just gonna obviously skip to that bit. Clearly nothing happened, but they checked me. I was 8 centimeters and things were starting to happen. So they did confirm that we could go ahead with the forceps in the delivery room, which we were obviously all happy about because it just meant that Harry and my mum could be there. Obviously I could stay where I was, and yeah, it was just, that was just what we wanted to hear. It was basically game on. There was loads of different people in the room at that point. I remember feeling the contractions in my right side. Oh, my battery's flashing red. No, I need to get up now and change the battery. Where was I? That was it. Yeah, I started to feel contractions in my right side. So it's like the epidural kind of, I don't know why it kind of wore off, because they said to me that it will just be continuously dripping throughout, because I thought the epidural ran out at some point, but they were like, no, it's like there's basically like a drip in my back that's constantly going to be putting it into my body. So yeah, but I could start to feel contractions in my right side, which were quite intense. But anyway, I dealt with it. And then, yeah, it was time to push. So I gave it my absolute all. And I know, obviously, they were going to be supportive, but they were like, you're literally doing amazing. Like, your pushes are so good. Like, I was making sure that I wasn't making no noise. Like, I was really kind of pushing through and just, like, yeah, just not kind of letting out any noise, just really pushing into it. And yeah, like I felt like I didn't really need to push for that long. Well, it didn't feel that long anyway that I was pushing. And then obviously they did the forceps. Oh no, that was it, sorry, forgot of it. So the doctor said that she needed to actually cut me to, I believe, get the forceps in and the baby out. So yeah, obviously I had to like agree to being cut, which I was like, oh no, like I really didn't want that. But you know, again, it is what it is. So yeah, obviously agreed to that. So she said that she will need to make a little cut I think on the notes it says, so it says grade 2 tear. I don't know what that means. And then obviously pushed her out, which, may I add, was the most unreal feeling. Like, obviously I could only feel in my right hip, like when the contractions came, I could really feel it in that right side. But yeah, pushing her out, I just felt so much pressure. That's all I can really say. And oh my god, it was just the weirdest feeling. And then yeah, obviously she came out, and that was that. Like, I did ask for them to obviously wipe her over because of the meconium. I didn't want her put straight on me. So yeah, they cleaned her up as much as possible and then plunked her on me. I couldn't really see her face though. All I could see was this mop of hair, which I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of her already by now, but she has got a head of hair, which explains the heartburn. And then I was then being stitched up, which I didn't feel because I don't know if they injected me, but I mean, I had the epidural anyway, so I suppose I wouldn't have been able to feel it. But they were stitching me up and everything, which took quite a while, and was very, like, you could feel a lot of kind of like, I don't know, tugging and, or yeah, it was. But anyway, you're so kind of like out of it anyway that it didn't really bother me. She then got put on my chest. And then all I remember was holding her. I think we was having skin to skin at this point, or just maybe I was just holding her. And all of a sudden I just felt really sick, like something came over me and I was like, I'm gonna throw up. So then I was really, really sick. Literally, I had her on my chest and I said to Harry, I was like, I'm gonna throw up, like I need a sick bowl. And I was like, you need to take her. And he was like, oh my god, oh my god. Like, he didn't know what to do, bless him. So yeah, I was then really sick, and after that I felt really sicky, and they did end up giving me anti-sickness tablets because yeah, I felt very sick, and I was sick quite a few times. I suppose from all the drugs that I'd been having throughout the day, and obviously what had happened, and I was hot all of a sudden. After giving birth, I was sweating. Everything kind of calmed down. And then all I can remember was like us being left to it in the room. I think my mum said to Harry that he should go home and get some sleep because obviously we were all just so exhausted. But I kind of wanted him to be nice and kind of refreshed for like the days ahead. So it made sense for him to like go home and catch up on some sleep, and then my mum stay and obviously look after the baby because I was still bedbound at this point. So she stayed and she did like the feeds, and obviously if the baby was crying, like, you know, she'd get up and look after her and stuff. So yeah, Harry ended up going home, which he felt bad about. I was like, look, you need to go home and rest because you're going to make yourself sick. I didn't really sleep still, like I was just in and out of sleep, and I was very uncomfortable because the epidural started to wear off, and then I could feel the catheter in me, and oh my god, it felt so uncomfortable, and it felt like I needed to wee, and I was like, please can I just get up and go to the toilet, like can you just take it out? But obviously they were like, you can't go to the toilet because the epidural still hasn't come out of the system. But I just felt it in me, and it was so uncomfortable, and I couldn't get comfortable because of that. Obviously the beds are not the comfiest. Anyway, got to the next morning. We were then told, so they kept me in my own room overnight, and then I think they must have told me that night that I had a bit of an infection, because then I was then put onto like an antibiotic drip. I think I caught an infection due to the meconium. So I was then hooked up again to the drip of antibiotics, and they said that my heart rate had gone really high. I'd lost 1.3 litres of blood, so I think that's why my heart rate was high, I think. So yeah, there was a lot going on. I wasn't in the best shape, but then we spent the morning in my own room, and then about 9 o'clock we got taken down to the ward. So I was on a ward with like other women. Obviously you're separated by curtains, and yeah, that was like really confined, like it was such a small space, and obviously there's more noise going on and stuff. And yeah, obviously I still had the catheter in at this point, still bedbound. Eventually they did take it out after a few hours, which it was the best feeling, because then I could start to like feel my legs again, and I felt like I could get up. But I tried to get up and I just straight away felt sick. Like I just came over really lightheaded, like not even standing up, just literally sitting on the edge of the bed made me feel so queasy, and I was like, I need to lie down again. But I was in so much pain in my back because I'd been laid down for so long. Like in these notes it says here how long my labour was. So it says here, duration of ruptured membranes 20 hours and 52 minutes. And then it says duration of labour 16 hours and 28 minutes. And then there's like a breakdown here, and it says first stage 14 hours and 20 minutes, second stage 1 hour and 57 minutes, and then membrane to birth 20 hours and 52 minutes. So I suppose that means membrane, that means like your waters break, I think. To birth is 20 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what it means. Anyway, I decided to get my feeling back in my legs, and I just kind of like gradually throughout that day was able to kind of like get up. And obviously I'm bleeding at this point, and it was all very uncomfortable. That's all I can describe it as, was very uncomfortable. It got to the afternoon and I said to Mum, I was like, you need to go home and sleep now, because she had literally been awake for so long. She barely slept. And obviously she was like such a big help, but I was like, you need to go home and rest up, and then obviously Harry could come so they can swap over. So that's what they did. Mum went, Harry came back, and then we were just chilling in the ward. I thought I'd be sent home that day, but I was very wrong. I mean, visiting hours were over, and I was waiting for them to come back and say like, oh yeah, you know, you can go. Silly me for thinking that. The woman came in, bearing in mind Harper at this point was screaming because I think she'd had an unsettled stomach, like trapped wind or something, struggling to go to the toilet, I don't know. But she was very like unsettled, crying. Yeah, we didn't, obviously, like we lost track of time, and we was just trying to settle her. And the woman came in and she was like, visiting hours are over now. And we were like, oh, okay. I think they were gonna, like, I was gonna be discharged. So she went back, came back, she was like, no, you're not, you're staying. And I was like, oh, okay. I literally wanted to cry. I'd run out of all my stuff, like, well, not for me, but for Harper. I didn't have any milk left, and bodysuits I'd run out of. So yeah, we didn't have any of that. So Harry had to pop to Tesco and get some more milk and baby like bodysuits. And he was like, he said to her, he was like, I need to go to the shops and get some more bits, because we obviously run out of stuff. And she was like, that's fine, you can leave it by the door. Like, she was really kind of like blunt with us. So that made us feel a little bit like crappy, I guess. So anyway, he left, which was horrible, because he didn't want to leave me and her. Like, he knew that she was in a state, and obviously he was leaving me with her. But anyway, he went and bought what we needed. He managed to come back in, actually. I don't know where this lady had gone, but he came back in and gave me the bits and saw me briefly, but he had to go. And yeah, so she was on and off, like crying. Obviously I'm on my own. I was the only one in the ward that night. Everyone had been like sent home. So I had the whole ward to myself, which in a way was good because she was crying and I didn't want to obviously disrupt other people. So it was kind of nice knowing that I wasn't disrupting anyone, but still I was on my own with a baby that was crying and I didn't know what to do. I think it got to like 1 AM or something like that, and I ended up pressing the buzzer for someone to come in because I didn't know what more I could do to settle her. So the midwife came and I said, look, I've fed her, I've winded her, I don't know why she's crying. So she was like, do you want me to take her and try and like wind her a bit more? And I was like, yes please. So she did. She said she may still be hungry, She was like, do you want me to go and feed her and then I'll bring her back? So I was like, yes please. So she took her away, and I actually ended up falling asleep while she was gone. I don't know how long she was gone for, but I fell asleep, and then I woke up to her coming back, putting her in her little cot thing. She was settled, and then literally about 10 minutes from her being put down, she started crying again. So I was up again and trying to settle her, but nothing was happening. All of a sudden I was like, oh my god, I packed dummies. I was like, I'm gonna have to give her a dummy, but I knew I needed to sterilise them. They hadn't been sterilised. So I called the buzzer again. I was like, could you please pop these in your microwave? They're like the man ones that you can literally pop in the microwave for 3 minutes and they're sterilised. It was a different midwife this time, and I was like, can you please pop these in your microwave? I need to sterilise them. I don't know if they didn't have a microwave or not, if she didn't understand me, but she was like, I'll bring you sterilising box thing. So I was like, oh right, okay. I was like, how do I do that? Like, and it was this big box thing, and you just pop the dummy in, and like, I think they put like one of those sterilising tablets in them. So anyway, did that, sterilised the dummy, and I ended up giving that to her, in which I did soothe her and she did kind of stop crying. So I think it helped, but she was still stirring on and off throughout the night. And then yeah, I woke up that morning, fed her and everything, and she was pretty calm from then onwards. So I like to say the dummy helped, but I don't know. I really don't know. It was very challenging, put it that way. Harry was like, look, I'm going to be back first thing. 8 o'clock was the reopening time for the visitors. He was like, I'll literally be there on the dot. Yeah, it was nice to have him back, and yeah, we just chilled in the ward together. I was able to kind of get up and move about a bit more. Obviously that night I had to be able to get up and move about, and obviously I was still really achy, so like getting up and down out of that bed was really hard. So obviously they came in regularly to check me. They were still saying that my heart rate was high and I still needed to have the drip every now and then. I was given iron tablets because I'd lost all that blood, so I needed to build my iron back up. They were not rushing to let me go, so we were there all day until about 4 o'clock, and then I got discharged about 4 o'clock. So it was a very, very long time of me just sitting around waiting to be let go. And obviously I know that they're monitoring me, and I know that they are obviously trying to look after me, but I just got to a point where I just wanted to go home. I was so uncomfortable, so irritated of being in that ward. I just wanted to go home, and I felt okay. Obviously, despite everything going on, like I didn't feel great, but like I felt okay to go home. But obviously it's their risk, like letting me go home, and if anything happens or whatever. Oh no, that was it. They actually came back and said that day, because it was the doctor that needed to like confirm to discharge me. She was like, you know, things are still not looking good. Your heart rate is still really high. How do you feel about staying another night? And straight away I was like, no, I can't. Like, I think that was putting me in more stress of being kept there, and I just said, I really want to go home. Like, I can't stay another night. And then she was like, okay, I need to go and speak to my registrar or something, and see what they say. So that was like quite like stressful, because I was like, oh my god, is she gonna come back and say like, no, like we don't recommend it or whatever? And I know you can discharge yourself, but I wouldn't particularly want to do that. Yeah, we was then like waiting for her to come back to like confirm it, which was nerve-wracking. But anyway, they said like, yeah, we're happy to give you the antibiotics orally now, so we can send you home. So basically I was given a crap ton of medication to take home with me. I was given iron tablets, I was given codeine for the pain, but because I wasn't in severe pain, I didn't end up taking the codeine. They gave me paracetamol and ibuprofen for pain, so I just took that instead, because obviously codeine is quite strong and I just didn't feel like I needed it. And they also gave me antibiotics to get rid of the infection. And sorry, I've got a really dry throat, I didn't bring any water up with me. And then they also gave me an injection to put in my stomach to prevent blood clots. So Harry actually has to do that. I can't really do that myself, so he's been doing that for me. I have to have that once a day for 10 days. I've actually finished my antibiotics now, and I'm still on my iron tablets, and I'm just taking paracetamol and ibuprofen when I feel a bit achy. Like the only thing that aches is my back. Like my down below is fine, like the stitches, I don't feel sore. Like I felt sore for the first like day or two, but other than that, I didn't expect it to be like this. I thought I'd be really sore, but I'm not. So that's really good. I'm just, yeah, really achy on my back as per usual. Like throughout my whole pregnancy, like my back played me up. So yeah, that's a bit of a pain, but hopefully that eases. But yeah, other than that, I'm feeling much better. My camera is now running out. 1 second. So yeah, it has currently been a week and 1 day since I gave birth, and I felt really good today. We actually went out for the first time, and yeah, I've been like day by day is getting better. So yeah, I'm feeling good. Just taking each day as it comes. Obviously a little bit tired here and there. Like I tend to get tired like later in the evenings. I feel like I'm coping okay actually. Like, you know, I'm taking to it pretty well. So yeah, that is my birth story. So overall, like it wasn't the worst experience of my life. Like it was one of the best experiences, I guess. Like it was absolutely exhausting. I wouldn't say painful. I wouldn't use the word painful at all. I would just say uncomfortable and exhausting, pretty much. But so worth it. And yeah, I don't regret any of it. Yeah, I'm just glad that it's kind of all over now and we can enjoy her actually being here. She is a little dream. Like she's so calm and chilled, other than the fact that she does cry. She has been crying quite a bit because I think she's struggling to, well, I know it's quite common in newborns to like with their bowels and stuff and digestive system, but I think she's straining a lot because you can, well, I mean, Google has been our best friend the last few days, and it says that when they strain and like tense up, it usually means that they're like, you know, it's to do with their digestive system and bowels and stuff like that, and obviously they're getting used to like going to the toilet and stuff. So every now and then she'll have like a spurt of like tensing up and crying, but other than that, she is a dream. She's very chilled, and yeah, hopefully that stays like that. I don't know if that is the case for most babies at this point. I mean, she's only 1 week and a day old. Everyone says these days go so quick, so I'm just trying to like take it in and not kind of like moan about anything, because I just know that these days go so fast, and I'm just trying to take it all in and enjoy it, every minute of it. Obviously Harry's there to support me. He has been so good. Like he's taken to it so well. Like for someone that was quite nervous to begin with, he has been a dream, and I knew he would pick it up. Like I just knew. But yeah, he's been really good, and we've got like a really good team work thing going on. And yeah, obviously she's with him now, even though she's really unsettled. Like I keep hearing her crying every now and then, but it's actually feeding time for her now, so I think he's just doing her bottle. But that is that. I won't ramble on for too long, but that is my birth story. I don't know when I'll be back like posting other sort of like vlog style videos. I'm really just kind of like going with the flow. I'm not really putting any pressure on myself to do anything as such, but I am quite active on Instagram, so yeah, follow me over there if you want to like keep up to date with like day in the life stuff, like day-to-day things. So yeah, thank you. Oh, and also thank you so much for your lovely messages. I got so many messages on my Instagram when she was born, and I couldn't respond to all of them. I really couldn't. That's not me being like, you know, big-headed or anything, but there was just so many, and it was a lot. Like obviously I didn't want to spend hours and hours on my phone, but you know, yeah, thank you so much for your lovely comments and messages. You guys are so nice. And yeah, I'll keep you guys up to date over there for sure. I've been taking loads of photos. Like my photo album is full of pictures of Harper. I love sharing pictures and videos with you all because she's such a dream. She's so cute. I'm gonna go now. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully it won't be too long until I see you in my next video.